The sea had always been a hungry beast, but now it was joined by something far more insatiable. A darkness, a slow, creeping shadow that swallowed the light and hope of the world. It began at the edges, they say, where the sky met the water and spread like a stain. Here, on this lonely precipice, stands the last bastion against the encroaching night, the lighthouse. For 60 years, he had been its keeper. Elijah, a man weathered by time and loss, his soul as rugged as the cliffs he called home. He tended the flame, not just for ships, but for a world that was slowly forgetting the sun. Every day, every hour, he climbed the winding stairs, the rhythmic pulse of the lamp, a counterpoint to the silence of his vigil. He knew the risks, the whispers of the darkness that coiled around the tower's base, promising oblivion. But he held firm. He had asterisk too. Tonight, the darkness felt different, thicker, more sentient. As Elijah gazed out at the swirling abyss, a flicker of fear, a cold dread, pierced his weary heart. He knew, with a certainty that chilled him to the bone, that this night would be unlike any other. The tempest roared with untamed fury, a relentless assault upon the dwelling. Wind and rain lashed at the small wooden structure, threatening to tear it asunder. Inside, the old weathered lighthouse keeper with worried eyes and long beard, Elijah, hunched over a worn table, seeking answers in faded writings. Outside, the turbulent, dark sea boiled and churned, each monstrous wave a thunderous crash against the unyielding stone. The storm gathered strength, heavy clouds swirling overhead, casting an ominous gloom over the isolated dwelling. The small structure seemed utterly dwarfed by the chaotic waters and oppressive skies, a stark testament to nature's formidable elements unleashed. A lone towering stone structure with guiding light, the lighthouse, stood defiant against the encroaching darkness, its beam a solitary beacon. From the window, the storm raged with increasing intensity, a chaotic ballet of wind and water. The small dwelling groaned and creaked, testing its strength against the relentless onslaught. A hand, gnarled and weathered, held the lantern aloft, its flame a small but steadfast point of defiance. The interior was cramped and dimly lit, air thick with salt and damp wood. Elijah, his ancient face etched with worry, pored over dusty texts, desperate for guidance. ancient artifact, sculpted from a mysterious, dark stone, and pulsing with unseen energy, lay half submerged in the churning sea, its intricate patterns hinting at forgotten powers. The sky deepened, heavy clouds swirling in ominous formations, casting long shadows across the turbulent waters. Inside, the mechanism of the lighthouse whirred and groaned, gears grinding under immense pressure. Worn hands, calloused and trembling, traced faded text in a heavy journal, each word a desperate plea for understanding. Beyond the fragile walls, massive ocean swells impacted the sheer rock face with untamed power, a constant, deafening roar. Cliffs faced the ocean's wrath, towering waves crashing against the jagged rock face, sending plumes of spray high into the air. From a distance, the light tower struggled against the encroaching darkness, its light a fragile thread in the overwhelming storm. Close up, lamp light flickered, casting dancing shadows that played tricks on the eye. Overhead, the storm's eye swirled, a chilling vortex of immense scale, a cosmic threat looming over the land. The storm raged on, a relentless assault of wind and water. Rain lashed against the windows, blurring the distorted view outside. Water streamed down the glass, obscuring the raging world beyond, creating an unsettling distortion of reality that pressed in on all sides, suffocating hope. Shadowed figures emerged near a luminous portal, their presence a mystery, their intentions unclear. Abstract darkness consumed the light, an expanding void that threatened to engulf everything. Cracked stone pulsed with an eerie energy. Rain lashed the window, distorting the outside world into a blurred and fractured landscape. A single tear traced a path down a weathered face, reflecting profound sadness and a heavy emotional toll. The light tower's beam faltered, then strengthened, a testament to struggle and resilience. An exhausted person collapsed, their strength finally giving way to despair. The repairs to the towering stone structure with guiding light, the lighthouse, became a desperate race against time as the storm intensified. Elijah, the old weathered lighthouse keeper with worried eyes and long beard, worked with frantic urgency, his hands moving skillfully over the damaged mechanisms. Outside, the sea raged with unnatural fury, waves crashing against the stone walls with terrifying force. Flashbacks intruded memories of his lost love, the ghostly image of a woman in vintage dress waving from a ship that would never return. Each turn of his wrench was accompanied by the weight of past failures, the guilt of lives he couldn't save. The lighthouse groaned under the assault, its beam flickering ominously as the storm clouds swirled with dark intent. A crackling radio message pierced the howling wind, survivors adrift in the storm's path. Elijah's hands froze mid-repair as the desperate voices filled the control room, their pleas cutting through his isolation. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on his shoulders. Outside, the waves took on monstrous forms, the sea itself seeming to conspire against the fragile light. His flashbacks grew more vivid, the last moments before tragedy, the promises he couldn't keep. The barometer plummeted as unnatural green lightning illuminated the furious ocean. Elijah found himself staring at an old locket, the face within a constant reminder of why he couldn't fail again, even as water began seeping under the reinforced doors. The lighthouse mechanisms screamed in protest, metal grinding against metal as the storm's fury reached its peak. Elijah battled both the failing equipment and his rising panic, sweat mixing with sea spray on his weathered face. In a moment of clarity, he remembered the survival manual buried under years of neglect. His shaking hands turned the water-stained pages to the emergency procedures. Outside, the vortex of clouds descended like some ancient beast. The darkness so completed seemed to swallow the very concept of light. But in that darkness, a distant flicker ship, lights fighting against the storm. Elijah's eyes hardened with newfound determination as he began rewiring the system, sparks flying around him like desperate fireflies. As Elijah worked, the ghostly image of his lost love seemed to appear in the storm's patterns, her face formed by the crashing waves. The radio crackled again, with static-laden cries for help, merging with the screams from his memories. The lighthouse trembled as a colossal wave struck, shaking the very foundation. For a terrifying moment, the light failed completely, plunging everything into suffocating blackness. In that darkness, Elijah saw them all, every face he'd failed, every soul lost to the sea's mercy. Then, with a roar of defiance, both his and the lighthouse's, the beam surged back to life, brighter than before, cutting through the unnatural storm with golden determination. The battle reached its crescendo as Elijah stood firm at the controls, his body aching, but his spirit unbroken. The light beam became a tangible force, pushing back against the darkness, revealing the struggling vessel in the distance. His flashbacks now served not as chains of guilt, but as fuel for resolve. He would not fail again. The storm redoubled its efforts, waves crashing with apocalyptic force, but the towering stone structure with guiding light stood resolute. As dawn's first light fought to penetrate the storm clouds, Elijah made his choice. He would keep the light burning at any cost. The survivors faint. Cheers through the radio mingled with the lighthouse's triumphant hum, a symphony of hope against the fading darkness. The lighthouse trembled under supernatural assault. Elijah, the weathered keeper, faced an impossible choice as reality twisted around him. The structure groaned under the storm's fury, gauges spiking dangerously. His urgent shouts vanished in the tempest's roar. Waves crashed over the tower as he fought for footing, the beacon's light flickering near extinction. Shadows reached from the void, threatening to swallow the last hope. Elijah's hands gripped the controls, knuckles white, as the lighthouse's walls cracked under the onslaught. The world teetered on the edge of darkness. The light failed. Absolute darkness swallowed everything. Then, a spark. Elijah's trembling hand found the ancient artifact. Energy surged through the lighthouse, a defiant blaze piercing the void. The beam became a solid column of light, pushing back the swirling darkness. The supernatural entity recoiled, its shadows dissolving. The storm's fury lessened as the artifact's power grew. Cracks in reality sealed themselves. Elijah collapsed against the mechanism, watching through exhausted eyes as the lighthouse reclaimed its purpose. Its light now burning brighter than ever against the retreating darkness. Dawn's first light touched the battered lighthouse. The sea calmed, waves gently lapping the broken shore. Elijah slumped against the wall, still clutching the glowing artifact. The interior was damaged, but standing glass shards glittered around the steadfast lamp. Outside, the dark entity had vanished. Elijah gazed at the sunrise, a faint smile breaking through his exhaustion. The artifact's glow faded, its duty done. Somewhere in the distance, gulls cried. The air smelled of salt and ozone, clean after the storm. The lighthouse had endured. He had endured. For the first time in hours, Elijah breathed deeply. A ship appeared on the horizon, its silhouette black against the golden dawn. Elijah staggered to the entrance, squinting at the approaching vessel. Figures moved on deck, survivors. As the boat neared, weary faces looked up at the lighthouse. Hands reached for ropes, for each other, for salvation. Elijah met the eyes of a young woman stepping ashore. No words were needed. The survivors entered the lighthouse, their quiet gasps echoing in the damaged chamber. Someone touched the walls reverently. Elijah nodded toward the still burning lamp. Its light, now steady, reflected in their tear-filled eyes. The night was over. Inside the survivors huddled around Elijah. The artifact lay between them, its glow now gentle. Waves lapped rhythmically against the rocks below. Someone laughed softly, a sound thought lost forever. Elijah studied their faces, a fisherman, a mother, a child. Their eyes held the same wonder he felt. The lighthouse beam swept across the calm sea, its familiar rhythm restored. Outside, a seabird took flight, wings catching the morning light. Elijah closed his eyes, listening to the living world around him. The artifact pulsed once, then went dark. Its magic would sleep now, but the light, their light, would keep burning. The aftermath of the climax unfolded, revealing a world slowly recovering from its ordeal. The storm, which had raged with such terrifying force, finally began to subside, leaving behind a scene of immense consequence and quiet devastation. The towering stone structure with guiding light, the lighthouse, though visibly scarred and battered, stood firm against the receding gloom, a testament to its enduring strength. As dawn broke, sunrise pierced through the heavy clouds in the distance, casting a fragile, hopeful glow across the ravaged landscape. Elijah, the old weathered lighthouse keeper with worried eyes and long beard, emerged from the depths of his exhaustion, looking out at this new dawn. A profound sense of peace washed over his worn face, a quiet relief replacing the despair that had consumed him during the long night. The air, once thick with the roar of the tempest, now carried only the gentle whisper of the wind, a soothing balm to his weary soul. Inside the lighthouse, the repaired machinery, once groaning under impossible strain, now hummed smoothly, a rhythmic testament to Elijah's desperate struggle and unwavering resilience. The light beam, no longer flickering in peril, shone brightly and steadily, cutting through the dissipating gloom with renewed power. Elijah, with a quiet sense of closure, took up his journal. He wrote a final entry about hope and reconciliation, a quiet acknowledgement of his past burdens and the difficult path he had walked. From the outside, the lighthouse appeared serene and peaceful under the gentle morning light, its stoic presence a comforting sight against the now calm sea, where gentle waves softly lapped the shore, a soothing rhythm after the night's chaos. A sense of renewed purpose filled the air, a quiet promise of a future yet to be written. On the distant horizon, a small ship appeared, its silhouette against the dawn sky, a clear and undeniable sign of salvation and rescue. Elijah slowly moved towards the lighthouse entrance, a quiet anticipation building within his weary heart. He stood silhouetted against the bright entrance, a lone figure awaiting the arrival of the newcomers. The first glimpse of survivors, on the approaching boat brought a wave of immense relief, a shared understanding passing between them without a single word. Their faces, though weary and marked by their own ordeal, were filled with hope, a shared ordeal forging an unspoken, powerful bond of humanity. This moment, a quiet exchange of glances, spoke volumes of the shared terror and the newfound safety. The boat reached the lighthouse base, and hands reached out, offering help and forging a connection between those who had endured. Elijah exchanged a look with a survivor, a moment of profound understanding passing between them, a shared sense of quiet gratitude for their survival against impossible odds. The survivors, a small band of weary souls, entered the lighthouse, finding shelter and sanctuary within its warm, welcoming light, a haven from the darkness they had faced. Elijah sat with them in a shared silence, a quiet contemplation of their shared ordeal filling the space, broken only by the gentle, rhythmic sound of waves in the background, a testament to the calm that had finally returned. The warmth of human connection, long absent, began to fill the isolated tower. The lighthouse beam continued its steadfast sweep across the now calm sea, its light reaching far into the distance, a tangible symbol of hope restored to a world that desperately needed it. Wide shots of the lighthouse, bathed in the soft morning light, showed it resolute and unwavering, a bastion of strength. A lone bird, a symbol of freedom and new beginnings, flew away from the lighthouse towards the open sky, soaring into the vast expanse. The sun's light touched the weathered stone, bringing a sense of profound peace. Reflections shimmered on the calm water, mirroring the tranquility that had settled over the land. Elijah looked at his scarred hands, a quiet acceptance of his past etched on his face. The old journal, now closed, rested peacefully, its pages holding a reconciled past. The lighthouse, a beacon against the starry night, stood as a testament to hope before finally fading to black, a gentle finality. The storm has truly passed, leaving the world forever changed, yet not entirely lost to the encroaching darkness. The towering stone structure with guiding light, the lighthouse, stands resolute, tall, and strong against the healing sky, its powerful beam a steadfast beacon in a world slowly regaining its breath. Elijah, the old weathered lighthouse keeper with worried eyes and long beard, though visibly scarred by the immense ordeal, has found a profound measure of peace. The light continues to shine, a powerful symbol of hope and unwavering resilience in the face of the overwhelming darkness that once threatened to consume all. The air, now fresh and clean, carries the scent of salt and renewal, a stark contrast to the oppressive gloom that had once suffocated the very atmosphere. The memory of lost love and past tragedies remains, etched deeply into Elijah's very being, a part of his history that can never be erased. Yet, these painful recollections no longer consume him. They are now quiet echoes, reminders of a journey endured. He has faced the storm, both the external tempest that ravaged the coastline and the internal turmoil that had long haunted his soul. And from both, he has emerged stronger, a testament to the enduring human spirit's capacity for survival and growth. The lighthouse, his steadfast companion, and its keeper, Elijah, have together endured the ultimate test, their bond forged in the crucible of despair and triumph. They stand as silent witnesses to the world's fragility and its incredible capacity for recovery. The final image is one of profound power and quiet triumph. A breathtaking sunrise paints the sky in hues of gold and rose over a now calm, shimmering sea, reflecting a world reborn. Alternatively, the lighthouse stands resolute against a vast, star-filled sky, a timeless guardian against the encroaching night, forever shining its light into the world. This enduring beacon serves as a concluding message about the unwavering power of hope, the unbreakable spirit of resilience, and the eternal, delicate balance between light and darkness. It is a testament that even in the deepest despair, a single light can guide the way, promising that the dawn will always follow the darkest night, and that life, in its myriad forms, will find a way to persist.